I welcome you to lesson number 5. Not Mambo number 5, lesson number 5. Hello, my lovely course goers. How are you doing? Remember that I do answer questions if you have any questions relating to this course, or if you just want to know what my favorite kind of food is. I will try to answer all of them, and you can send me an email in the support area, in the course participants area. And today I will give you some answers on what happens when you stop reacting to the ego, which we discussed in the last lesson. Now, the 5th lesson is to become silent. That is what will happen. It's like every single lesson is just one title. Well, that's true. Let me just start you off with a quote from Oprah Winfrey. When you don't know what to do, do nothing. Get quiet so you can hear the still, small voice. Now, that is exactly what a person needs to do in order to listen or even hear the intuition. You have to become silent. When you, as a person, stop reacting to the ego, which means not give it a positive or a negative reaction, because either it being positive or negative will still feed the ego. Now, it's another thing to have positive thoughts, because even though a positive... No, oh wow. Yeah, even I am learning a lot today, I guess. Because when you give the ego a positive reaction, like the ego is you have a worry thought, right? And you give a reaction like, oh, it's going to be fine, it's going to be okay, I'm not worried about it at all. You're still putting attention on the worrying. So you're still feeding it what it needs, what it wants. Now, it's worse even when you give it a negative reaction, because then you're also become part of the negativity. But a positive reaction will still keep the energy in place, and it still has attention on the subject that you're thinking about. So it's still putting the worry in your mind. So you're still worried. Now, if you want to stop reacting to it and become silent, you have to become, first of all, an observer to your thoughts. So in the beginning, this can be quite difficult because you're not used to not reacting to the thoughts. You're used to hearing the thoughts, thinking that it is you who's thinking those thoughts, responding to them automatically as if you're just responding to yourself, and therefore creating a life that is unpleasant. I, for one, have had many anxiety thoughts and depression thoughts, been mentioning it every single video, but I just really want to illustrate you where I come from. Because where I come from is a lot worse than you, no, just kidding. But where I come from is very hefty stuff. It's a mind that is anxious all of the time. And I still am capable right now of quieting the mind. I want to say that I'm not special. You're not special either. We're all special. We're all unique in our sameness. We're all the same in our uniqueness, you know? We're the same people. We come from the same source. So we all have the same capabilities to become silent and to not think. Now, so first of all, you have to become the observer. This can acquire a lot of patience and a lot of practice, because it's really a practice. It's really it's kind of training yourself, you know, in order to show yourself a different, or to adopt a different mindset almost. As you now realize that you are not your thoughts, which is the most powerful realization, I think, in this entire course, because it literally just separates you from what you don't want and from the negative entity that you've created. Because I do believe that once you think things all of the time, and once you put negative energy into it, you create some sort of entity. You have different kind of entities in different kind of beliefs. So you might have a lot of worrisome beliefs about money. Jesus, how do I explain this? There are things in life that come easier to you than others. That is because some things in your life you have made bigger to reach, like maybe it's a career or a business that you want to start, or some weight that you want to lose. You might make that really big in your mind that it's almost unreachable. And some things come really easily to you, like maybe a new iPhone or something that you easily manifest, because you don't really have any limiting beliefs towards that. And that's what I mean by creating some sort of entities on many different subjects. You know, you have more negative thought momentum going into the money than you have in the new iPhone. So you create a literal blockade on that subject. There's even a theory of we as a collective consciousness, because we are all one, in our separateness we are all one, and I will explain more about that later. But there are even theories that our collective consciousness we also create a collective ego. So right now what's really topical is the corona. There's a lot of emotion surrounding corona and a lot of opinions about people and a lot of sides, and that creates some sort of super large entity that is created by all of us because we're all putting thoughts and energy into that. We are literally creating worlds. But more on this later. I want to start going on a tangent, but more on this in the next lesson. Right, so as you become the observer, you need a lot of patience and a lot of practice. For some people, it can be quite instant, this realization, but that just means that they're ready for the information, They've already been building up to this and they learn this, change their lives, they're happy, blah, blah, blah. But for most people, you hear this, you realize this, and that's it. And then you go back into negative thought patterns and things that you don't want, because I did that too. When I read the Eckhart Tolle book, The Power of Now, which I strongly recommend to you because it has everything in depth about this and a lot more. Yeah, most people don't get this in an instant. That's fine, you don't have to get this in an instant. So if you really want this, if you really want to find the intuition and your truest inner self and create your dream life, I do urge you to keep watching this video, keep watching other videos, keep reading books, and keep practicing until you fully get this, because it is your birthright to feel good all of the time. You're not supposed to feel negative. You're not supposed to feel worried about every single thing. If you really think about it, and if you allow yourself to worry once again, that you will find out that there's always something to worry about. It will never end, either it being big or small. The worrying and the feeling bad will never end if you don't stop this. But I get it that it's kind of hard to fight that bully. As I said in the last lesson, the ego is like a bully that knows every little specific insecurity about you, because it's literally, you've been training it all of these years. It's difficult to overcome that. It's the most difficult thing that you can overcome. But I don't want you to see the ego as all bad, because it really isn't bad. We are here, actually, Friedrich Nietzsche has a book called Beyond Good and Evil. That's what I want to preach to you too, and that's what I'm all about too, because there is nothing truly good or evil in this world. There really isn't. There's only perception of it. What for someone can be good is for another is bad. So the ego, you shouldn't see it as bad, because you will give it more power. Don't hate the ego. Don't give any more attention to it than it needs. And you don't have to be mad at it. You don't have to be mad at anything, actually. That's the power of the true you that's inside of you, that you don't hate anyone. You don't hate anything, because you aren't anyone and you aren't anything. But you also are anyone and are anything, am anything. Because that's what the ego also brought to you. It is, I think, that the ego brings a sense of duality, and it is in this avatar, and the avatar being me, for me, Juliet, and for you, maybe Sam or Matthew, I don't know. Yeah, it's not all bad, and it's also here to learn from and to overcome, and I guess it's also here to use, as you can use the subconscious mind as a beautiful servant. But what I do want to say, what I really want to get into your mind, is that you are supposed to feel good all of the time. As I said in the last lesson, they're not just being cards dealt at your birth and you know what, this is what you should deal with all of your life. That's just not how it works. You create everything. You have the power to be free. You have the power to become anything that you want. And especially you are capable of doing anything that you want. I hate it that we're made to believe otherwise. I absolutely hate it, but it's not a reason to hate it. There's only reason to overcome it and to embrace all of it, because someone who goes through a lot of pain and a lot of traumas, they also experience the most love and the most I guess, uniteness. You know, they also learn the most and experience the most love, and that's what ego and suffering all brought. But just know that suffering is literally, there is no other thing than self-made suffering. Right now, I want to read you a little Zen story that is really applicable to this lesson. During a Japanese civil war, an army was trying to conquer different villages. In one village, all of the residents had left except for one man, sitting quietly in a temple. It was a Zen master. The general of the army was quite curious why the man had stayed behind and went to the temple to see the man. Once arrived at the temple, the general ordered the Zen master to acquiesce to his will. But the Zen master would not. The general was armed with a sword, took it out and said, "You fool! Don't you see? I'm the type of man that could put a sword through you without blinking an eye." Whereto the Zen master responded, "Don't you see? I'm the type of man who can have a sword put through him without blinking an eye." That is like my favorite story almost ever, because it just perfectly illustrates about what I want to say to you in this lesson. Is that when you are free, no, that's not the right wording. When you feel free, when you feel empowered, when you feel truly yourself and like you're free from the ego's chains, there's nothing in this world, not even a direct threat, that can kill you. Because you know you are eternal, you know you are immortal. You know, there's just no fear. There's no fear for anything. And as we today live in this world with constant stress triggers, it's so hard sometimes to be quiet, as Oprah Winfrey said, but it's literally all that you need to do in order to be happy. It's just to become silent. Now, I don't know if you've ever experienced becoming truly silent, as I had my first experience behind a counter as a cashier in store. But I want to share a little exercise with you again, because there's another way to truly become silent. Because I get that it can be quite hard if you've never became truly silent. I mean, you're used to thinking all the time, or you're used to responding to your thoughts all the time. I really want you to make the distinction too, that you're used to responding to the thoughts all the time. Know that's not you. But another really good way to become silent is what Eckhart Tolle shared in his book, The Power of Now. In order to silence the mind, you have to do it through your body. Just focus with me. If you're sitting right now, maybe you're standing, maybe you're lying, I don't know. But if you're sitting right now, focus on your hands. Focus on the way they feel. I'm doing it too. Then focus on your arms. Focus on your legs. Focus on your feet. Isn't that cool? If you truly focus upon body parts, your mind automatically just stops. That's cool, right? It's like an anxiety exercise that I learned when I was really anxious. And that's to literally give the attention to your environment. So I would do like with my hands, I would feel the arms of the chair, or maybe I would feel the whiteboard, you know, and you take the focus literally off of your mind, but you can actually focus on your body and your mind will just stop. So maybe when you're at a public speaking event, you have to public speak, but you're really nervous, you know, start focusing on your entire body and calm yourself down. If you at the train station and you're suddenly becoming really anxious because of all the people that are around, focus on your hands, calm yourself down. This is such a beautiful, simple, free technique that we can all do all the time. Just remember, focus on your body and your mind will become truly silent. Now, to finish this lesson off, as I hope you have learned a lot of tricks to become silent and know that you actually can become silent and that the power is fully within you, I want to finish this lesson with a quote. Just as the sun is infinitely brighter than a candle flame, there is infinitely more intelligence in being than in your mind. By Eckhart Tolle. Because the next lesson, I want to talk about that intelligence, as the next lesson is called Infinite Intelligence. I'll see you there.